Welcome back to talknorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. talknorth.com is powered by Bite Squad. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Get food to your door in minutes. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery free. Talk North gets you your first delivery free. Slight schedule change. We were going to do a show at Mississippi Pub this Thursday. We are now backing it off until, and I always have to get the date right, I believe that would be October 25th, 5-ish, at Mississippi Pub, leading into a Thursday night football game. Coming out to Inver Grove Heights. Google it, but if you want the address, 4455 66th Street East, Inver Grove Heights. Their phone number, 651-455-4975. We appreciate them sponsoring the program, along with Beaver Island Brewing. They do private parties, have great food, have a nice view of the river and the marina. So check out Mississippi Pub, mississipipub.com. And we hope to see you 2 Thursdays from now, October 25th, about 5 o'clock. Let's get to the running game, because they actually had one yesterday. Why did they have a running game there yesterday? And by the way, this is the Viking Update Show, part of talknorth.com. He's Tim Yoder, publisher of Viking Update. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. And by the way, we do have a special short run with Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Use Talk North, one word, for your first delivery free. Tell me about the running game, Tim.
Well, I mean, I think part of the reason it got going is they were able to stick with it. They didn't fall behind in this game. They had the lead most of the second half, and it was a way to close it out. But also, one thing I was really happy to hear Latavius Murray say, even after he had a career game, was that they shouldn't think that they've cracked the code on the running game at this point. And I agree with him. It's going to take more than one game of this. It's going to take more than going against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. So all that said, though, I thought it was clearly the biggest holes that were opened in any game this season for the running game. And, I think Dalvin Cook, had he had the holes that Latavius Murray had, probably would have had even more yards, more longer runs. But to me, the craziest thing is that this season we have gotten so used to seeing Kirk Cousins being the dominant player in this offense. And here you look at what happened against Arizona, and their 5 biggest games were all in the running game. So to me, that was kind of a crazy reversal of how the Vikings have performed offensively to this point.
Well, I've been covering the league since 1989, and I can't tell you how many times I've had, off the record conversation with coaches where they say, hey, our game plans are going to be a lot different against a team we expect to beat than against a team we have to really extend to beat. And I think when you look at the routes that were run, who Cousins was targeting, where he was targeting them on the field, the fact they stuck with the running game, I think it was a function of 2 things. Number one, they didn't have to play from behind. Number 2, they also felt like going in, if they didn't screw anything up, they were going to win the game.
Well, and, to that point, I think this was a game where they entered it and said, this is a time to work on some of the weaknesses. And the running game had been clearly the weakness for the Vikings. I think they entered 31st in the league in rushing yards. And, now they, I think, are like 28th or something like that. But, to me, it was a combination of better job from the offensive line, opening the holes, probably a better job from Murray, exploding into the running lanes that he saw, and then being able to get to the second level. I was kind of amazed, though, how much room he had after he broke through the initial wall on some of those runs. I mean, Antoine Bethea ended up being the last line of defense and getting Murray really on all of those longer runs at the end. But I think if a healthy Dalvin Cook has that, some of those even turn into touchdowns. But when you end the game with runs of 34, 28, 26, and 21 yards by Murray, and then Mike Boone, who I think had like 3 carries, but one of them went for 20 yards. It was a good overall day, and it's gotta be a relief, especially to the offensive line that's been hearing about it all year about what's going on with the running game.
And one thing that stood out to me, Rashad Hill continues to get beat occasionally, if not regularly, in pass blocking. But when Brian O'Neill's on the foot, he was pile driving some people. On one of the longer runs, might have been the one by Boone, he drove his guy, I think it was a smaller player, but he drove him into the Cardinals bench. That kind of aggressiveness would play well around here.
He was unbelievably excited after the game. When I was talking to him in the locker room, he was just jacked up. He got his first NFL start. And, I think overall he played fairly well. And I've always thought, looking at him, to me, he seems like he should be a better run blocker than maybe pass protector. But I think, initially they were almost as pleased with his pass blocking as his run blocking. But, you want that right tackle to be a guy that can be more of a road grader. You think of Phil Lodeholt and what he did with the Vikings. So I'm going to be curious to see. My guess is when Riley Reiff comes back, that Rashad Hill goes back and is their starter at right tackle. But I think Brian O'Neill had a great game for his first NFL start.
Absolutely. Now Murray is averaging 4.8 yards per carry on a team that, previously didn't seem to be able to run, and during a season where Murray didn't seem to be particularly effective. It's me. That's one of the reasons I am not a big stats watcher when it comes to the NFL, because things change so dramatically week to week, game plan to game plan, matchup to matchup. To me, as much as people have fallen in love with next generation statistics and analysis, you got to watch the games.
Yeah, no doubt. To me, one of the stats that I found to be the most amusing in basically 20 years of covering the Vikings has been Brad Childress used to talk about the stat that says when you run the ball a certain amount of times, I think it was 20 or more, you're going to end up winning the game. And I, at first I went, oh yeah, well, you got to have a balanced run. And then you think about it and you go, well, if you're trying to close out a game with a lead, you probably are running the ball more. So to me, that was almost sort of a backward stat that he liked to use to predict how your offense was doing and how to win games. Now, granted, Childress was saying this when he had guys like Tavares Jackson trying to be his quarterback. So you want the running game in that case to be your lead role. But, if the Vikings can just get to some semblance of balance in their offense and be able to close out games with the running game, then that's to me where it should be. And by balance, I don't mean 50-50. I don't think this is going to be an offense that operates that way. Their strength is in their passing game. But if it's somewhere near 60-40, I think that's a good balance for this offense.
To me, it's you need to be able to run the ball when you want to run the ball or need to run the ball situationally. In other words, if you run the ball 15 times, but you get first downs out of those 15 rushes and you back off the pass rush, you surprise the defense, you give your offensive line a chance to tee off once in a while. I mean, it's not the number. It's really how you do it and when you do it, to me.
And some of it, I think, also has to do with the variety of runs. I mean, we saw against Philadelphia where they got Stephon Diggs on some end arounds that helped boost the rushing numbers. But, against the Cardinals, one thing I really liked is you seem to be fairly limited to between the tackles running when it's Latavius Murray. It's just not a consistently productive method to have him trying to get to the outside edge. His strength is straight ahead, but after running him inside so often, in the fourth quarter, that final drive, they finally got him out to the edge. And Rashad Hill had a nice kick out block at left tackle. And that was really the one that completely sealed the game. I mean, that allowed them to just kneel on the ball. So I was glad to see that at least they were working, different runs, some outside, some inside, rather than just trying to pound inside. The
talknorth.com podcast platform had about 140,000 listens last month, which is a record for us. I want to thank everybody who's helped make that possible. Co-hosts, producer Brandon Morton, our listeners, our sponsors. Our primary sponsor on this podcast is WizKids.tech. That's WHIZKIDS.tech. Let them be your chief technology ally. It's a great Minneapolis company and now has a nice big billboard on Washington Avenue.
Hello, Minnesota sports fans. This is Michael Thanner, founder and CEO of WizKids. WizKids is a Minneapolis-based managed IT, hosted VoIP, and cloud services provider. Businesses today require fast response times, skilled support staff, clear communication, and technology recommendations that align with their business goals. At WizKids, we do this each and every day with our clients. When you call into our help desk for support or work with one of our higher-level engineers on a complex issue, you'll find our staff personable and ready to roll up their sleeves to help you solve your technology problems. Reach out to WizKids today to find out how we can help your business meet your technology goals. Visit us online at WizKids.tech. That's WizKids.tech. WizKids, make it happen.
I think it's time to talk about Adam Thielen. I don't know how we put it off this long. It's funny, Tim. You know how it works. You know, you do an incredible amount of work for your website and in your coverage. And, you know, as a columnist for the Star Tribune, it's a different animal. We have 5 people sitting there and sometimes more, and we have to kind of divide up topics. So late fourth quarter, sometimes at the end of a game, we'll say, okay, who's writing what? And I told my boss and my coworkers, said, I hate to lack variety, but I have to write Adam Thielen. He just demands, you know, this kind of coverage when he's producing the way he is, even if I feel like there's nothing much new to say about him. Of course, the good thing is his teammates love talking about him, so they usually come up with something new to say about him.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole dead arm dance became the big thing for the last game. But, you know, I thought your column was spot on today, this morning's column about Adam Thielen sounds like a broken record, and he does, and he keeps breaking records. So that was great play on words there, and very appropriate, because that's exactly who Adam Thielen is. It's unbelievable the amount of times that he deflects praise, and even in this game, you know, he said, "Well, I was open because they were concerning themselves with Stefon Diggs so much," and you know. To a degree, I agree with him in the fact that Patrick Peterson was on Stefon Diggs more than Adam Thielen, which shocked me. I mean, I get it that that's what they did in the past when they faced the Vikings, but I think you come into this game and you say, look, Thielen's had 5 straight 100-yard games. He's the guy we have to concentrate on. And instead it was, you know, basically they went one-on-one, Peterson with Diggs, and then had Thielen with help over the top. But Thielen's so good at just finding the zones. And I mean, the third down catch he had on like 3rd and 13, the sideline diving catch, to me that was incredible for several aspects of it. Number one, you know, he's diving to make the grab. In real time, I thought there was no way that he gained control and got down in bounds. And then I also thought no way that he made the stick. So I would have challenged that play as well. And it turns out, you know, he had a knee and a shoulder down, and he was coming back to the ball. So as he was sliding, you know, he did get the first down. So I don't know what more can be said about him. He's leading the league in receptions. He's leading the league in receiving yards. He's leading the league in first down catches. You know, at this point, he's at least a top 5 receiver, if not the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, and as I pointed out in my column, you know, his numbers now, you project them out over a full season, they would be, you know, the greatest receiving season in Vikings history. And this is a place that had Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and they would rival the best season Jerry Rice ever had. And Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver who ever lived, and maybe the greatest football player who ever lived. I mean, it's getting a little serious. And the only caveat is, okay, everybody's throwing the heck out of the ball this year. All the rules favor the offense. That contributes to it. And that's all true. I don't think we need to deny that. But you still got to do it. You still got to do it. And 155 catches and 1,800, 1,900 yards is hard to do under any rules.
Yeah, I mean, he would shatter the receiving, the number of receptions. And I'm not sure about the yardage. What does he project to there, and what was the record so far?
It would be about 1,900. I can look up the specifics. He'd be up around the 1,900 range, and I think the largest is about 1,600 some. in Vikings history, and that was the great Moss year.
Right. No, yeah, I was talking actually NFL level.
Oh, NFL.